Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. So I thought I would do a review of those horses that I was interested in today. Quite a disappointing day for many of my selections, but let's go over them, talk about what happened, talk about whether they're worth being interested in going forward or what happens to them. First horse, Flinter Sacra, getting rid of him now. I tweeted after the race, I imagine that will be the last time we see him running for Nicky Henderson and JP McManus. Ben Haslam could get him, I suppose, if JP wants to try and find something with him, but he's just not very good. I know he hadn't run for however many days it was, 230, but I think he'd need to step forward massively to be, off his 108, he's only going to be 120 horse, even if he came on for the run at best, and JP won't hold on to horses like that. So for me, he's crossed off, don't like him going forward, won't be interested in him anymore. The second race, 3 under through 5. Do you know what? I thought his jumping was immaculate. I thought it was brilliant. I went back and watched all the race again to see if he made a mistake. I don't think he made one mistake. I thought he jumped really, really well. He's as short as 6-1 now for the National Hunt Challenge Chase, which is great. We're on at 12s. So hopefully he can run a big race there. His jumping will definitely stand him in good stead in that race. We then had the Classic Chase, or I'm just going through them in an order, it's not necessarily time order. Classic Chase, paddle your own canoe, who we liked because of the Dan Skelton angle, made a mess of, didn't jump the first very cleanly, kind of paddled it, no pun intended, and then made a complete mess of the second, and I think the tack slipped, or the saddle slipped, the tack was all broken, and Harry very quickly pulled him up. Not a chance, disappointed. I think he's finished 6th or 7th, but this was the only race I was interested in him, so I won't be following him. Paddle your own canoe, I will give him another chance. Potentially, this race here, the Grand National Trial, it's over 3.5 mile at Haydock on the 19th of February. He did come from finishing 3rd in a hurdles race, which was surely a prep race for this Classic Chase, at Haydock, where he finished 3rd. So he does run well at Haydock. Give him the better conditions, a step up in trip and back over fences for him at Haydock, and I think he'll run well. So hopefully that's where we'll see paddle your own canoe next. In terms of those elsewhere in the race, nothing really caught my eye. Eclair Surf was given a fantastic ride from the front. Possibly Gerrit Colt O'Rourke, is that how you say his name? Possibly given not a poor ride, but the jockey didn't think Eclair Surf had gone too hard, and thought Eclair Surf had gone too hard and he was going to pull him back, but he never did. The 3:35 at Warwick, I think a lot of people felt Riggs was the only horse here who had to win to get in the Pertemps Final. All the others would be playing for places, and Riggs was the only one who didn't finish, and finished essentially 7th and the only place that didn't get a qualifying position. Of those that qualified, I think Sporting John, they won't go for the Pertemps Final. I think they'll step him up to the Stayers Hurdle. The rest of them, I think we might see a lot of them in the Stayers Hurdle, in the Pertemps Final, sorry. And the one I'm keen on is Third Wind. I thought he did nothing in the whole race, was never asked real questions, never really talked about, nobody was interested. I liked him for this race last year. You can see I advised him at 33s. He was behind Sire de Burley, the Storyteller, and Tuir Permis in 2020. He then won a graded race last year. This one here, you can see he ran a really big figure, 174.7, which would actually be better than what Sire de Burley did when he won the Pertemps Final. If Third Wind is now aimed at the Pertemps Final, I think he will be. I think he'll go very, very close in that. So he was my one from the Pertemps qualifier. Moving on to the 2:47 at Weatherby. Ballyandy ran a good race for 2nd. That's probably his level now. I think they found his level. Not really sure where they go with him next. Benson, very frustrating again. Looks like he might have been too quick for him. The trip wasn't far enough. The interesting thing, I think, for Benson is we know he has some really good form at Sandown. And I do wonder whether this might be the race they aim him at. 2 mile 3, back at Sandown in late April. That would be my only concern is 3 months' time. And if you save him for one race in 3 months' time, you may find that it doesn't work and then you've wasted 3 months. If he turns up in that race at Sandown, I will be interested though. I think he wants 2.5 mile or Sandown where he runs well. I don't think he wants the 2 mile trip anymore. It might be interesting if they give a different jockey a go as well, just to see if the other jockey can keep him involved more, or maybe go a little bit more prominent with him, actually try and force the pace so that when he hits this flat spot or seems to be outpaced, instead of just running on late on, he's then running from a just off the leaders back into the leaders rather than dropping further behind. So this Sandown race is where I think he could be seen in the future. The 205 was won by Mr. Fisher, who has good form at Kempton. Eldorado Allen was probably the horse in form. He was second. And Rouge Vif disappointed in third. However, that now means he has disappointed off the same mark as when he ran in this handicap back in October 2020. And when he ran in this handicap at Cheltenham, he absolutely dotted up. He won it really impressively, beat everything comfortably, off 156 in a handicap. Now, the Grand Annual has got to be the target for him now. Yeah, I think he's going to drop £2 or £3 for his run, which would mean he'd be £2 or £3 lower than winning a handicap at Cheltenham. Will run in the Grand Annual. That looks obvious to me, and I really like him for the Grand Annual, and I will be advising him for the Grand Annual. I'm hoping a few more bookmakers might price him up. He was, I think I saw 25s, but only at the one bookmaker. Let's hope a few more price him up after today, and somebody goes 33s about him. The 240 was the Lanzarote Hurdle, where we lost Chitabello very early after he fell or unseated. He brought down Green Book, and Marie's Rock was also hampered. We had a good run from Call Me Lord, who finished third at 33s, and I wonder whether Marie's Rock might be aimed for this Sandown. Marie's Rock? Call Me Lord might be aimed at this race at Sandown. If we have a look at Call Me Lord, let's have a look at his form. Should have loaded this up before. Here we go. Sandown second, Sandown first, Sandown first, Sandown third, Sandown second. He's got really good Sandown third. He's got form at Sandown. If he turns up in... where's that Sandown race? Gone, there it is. If he turns up in this race, because he's currently rated 144, which Scaramanga won it off last year. If for finishing third, the handicapper leaves him alone and he runs off 144, I'd be very, very keen on him at Sandown in a handicap. It's not the biggest prize, it's only 12 grand, but I think they're running out of options now with Call Me Lord. In terms of Chitabello unseating, that means hopefully he'll go straight to the Coral Cup now, where we've advised him at 25-1. Moving on to the final race, which was the 3 mile handicap at Kempton. I said before the race that I was worried the conditions weren't going to suit Kitty's Light. 3 mile at Kempton is like 2.5 mile. And for me, this horse is a stayer. This horse wants at least 3 mile at a stamina track, and possibly even further. You know, the Scottish National wouldn't be beyond his ability and his stamina at all, over 3 miles 7 and however many yards it is. But I tweeted after the race that surely Kitty's Light is stepped up in trip. I initially shouted for the Kinmure, but thinking about it, that would be an amateur rider's race. An amateur rider would have to get on board, and I don't think Christian Williams will do that. But when I tweeted it, I got a strange reply. I got a reply saying, I'm reliably informed that they're aiming him at the Bet365. Can't always go to war with a horse, can you? Normally, you know, people suggesting they've been told something, I would ignore it. Let's have a look at this person's account. Paul Thomas joined this month, 2020, and he's made 4 tweets. He's requesting a bet for Kitty's Light to win the Grand National in 2023. He's requesting a bet for Kitty's Light to win the 2022 Bet365. And he's requesting a bet for Kitty's Light to win the Ultima. And then he replied to my tweet. All of them are about Kitty's Light. This is not just a random person who likes Kitty's Light. This is a owner, and they've created a fake account to try and make it not obvious that they're really keen on Kitty's Light for a race at Cheltenham, so the bookies price it up too big. So I think it'll be going to the Ultima. So I'm very interested in Kitty's Light for the Ultima, and definitely, obviously, fancy it for the Bet365 Gold Cup at Sandown on the final day of the jump season. So there's what happened to my horses, where they can go. There's a few that I'm going to give another chance. The only one who I definitely am not is Flinta Sacra. Ballyandy probably not. I think he's found his level. But all the others, there are reasons and races that they could go to next. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoy the rest of your Saturday. And there's a couple of races tomorrow that are interesting, particularly the Bob Ollinger race. That'll be interesting. And also Dysart Dynamo in the first race. Is it Leopardstown or Fairyhouse? Let's just quickly load up tomorrow's racing. It is at Punchestown. This race here, Dysart Dynamo, is very interesting. We'll certainly get a race from Gringo Dobrell, though. Thanks for listening. Have a great weekend.